Welcome to flexibility. You want to put your foot behind your head, or even boogie choke somebody, or even put your foot in somewhere it's not meant to be. Welcome to how to be more flexible for jiu-jitsu. Firstly, I stretch my quads and my ankles. I can sit nice and deep as I grab my toes, and I do this on both sides, bending my standing foot. From here, I'll typically start to stretch my hips. I pull my knee to my chest and I sit forward into a deep lunge. I try to keep my balance here, and when I sit forward, I keep my toes on the mat. Next, I'll become an airplane. I'll spread my feet, hands go to the opposite foot, and I'll go side to side here. Great for your back and your hips. You may experience some popping. Next, I'll do some hamstrings. I'll be on my toes, and I can go side to side here using my hands. I like to call this the Spider-Man stretch, because you kind of look like Spider-Man when you do it. You can either point your toes forward or up to the ceiling to get different variants of stretching. Next up, I'll do some hamstring stretches, nice and deep here, as I go all the way to the back of my ankles and bring my chest to my knees. Next, I'll spread my feet again and start going individual hamstrings. I'll do three on each side, bring my forehead to my knee. Next, I'll go back to the lunge, where I'll further open my hips with my knee behind my toes. I can put my hands on the mat and my chest to my knee to make the stretch deeper. I'll do this both sides, again stretching my hamstring on the way back. As I come to the other side, I ensure that my knee is not further than my toes. I'll put my knee to my chest, my hands to the mat, and really engage my hips. I can sit back, stretch my hamstring, and do it on the other side once again, but this time my knee further than my toes. This will allow for a deeper stretch and really engages the hips more. Next, I'll do a variant where I bring my foot to my hand and intertwine my hand behind my leg. This really opens out my knees and helps for guard retention in jiu-jitsu. You're going to be able to retain your guard a lot easier if you do this stretch every day. It's great for high legging when someone is doing side to side loose style passing. Next, I'll go into an S-sit and interlock my fingers with my toes as I bring my chest to my knee. I'll do a push-up motion here on both sides. This is a great exercise to open your hips. Here, you can see me opening out my hips with this variant of hip openers, I call them, bringing my knee to the mat. Next, I'll put my palms of my feet together and intertwine my fingers over my toes, bouncing my knees up and down. Next, this is more advanced, but if you can, put your foot in your bicep, S-grip your hands, put your other foot out in front, and start rotating side to side. If you want to be more advanced, you can put your other hand in the bicep and your hand behind your neck. Now I'll stretch my glutes as I put my hands out in front. Now for the calves, I'll sit nice and deep, walk my hands closer, doing both sides. Important to stretch your calves, as these are often an area that can cramp, so I walk out my toes here. Here are some cat-cows, great for your back. Now I sit back on my heels with my hands out in front. Then I can sit forward. I like to rotate my shoulders here. This is great for your back. Then I'll sit back again, hands in front, this time left over right. And I come back forward, looking over my shoulder this time. If I want to get a nice hip stretch, I will put my elbows into my knees and stand on my hands. You can go into a headstand here if you'd like. If you go into a headstand, you can fall forward and end up in this position where you have your head on the mat. Here, it's a bit sore on my head as the ground is very hard. So if you're on mats, I advise doing this. If not, you can just go to the exorcism that I call. Great to really just stretch your whole back and body. So if you want to put your foot behind your head, like I mentioned earlier, incorporate these stretches into a daily routine. That means every day you're stretching. Do this before your training or after your training. Either way, you're going to see a massive improvement in your flexibility. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at BJJDillon. That was how to get more flexible for Jiu Jitsu. Peace out.
Subscribe or you will get your guard passed.